Look his face.
Yeah.
He's dangerous.
He's special.
You can like.
The guy is special. Everything that could possibly be special about this guy is special. A guy like this is the type of guy that you love to watch and follow, the most special guy that I've ever come across.
Hello and welcome back to the Pet and Core Sports Show presented by Headrest. Today we have Bantamweight title contender Adrian Yanez. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much, man. Shoot. How's your day going?
It's good. It's good. It's getting late here, but it's all good.
Oh, nice. Man, my bad also too. Traffic got crazy.
It's no worries. So let's go to before you were in the UFC, before everything. Was there a fight you saw maybe on TV that you realized, okay, this is the sport I want to do. This is the greatest sport?
Man, yeah, there's actually I can go back and pinpoint which one it was. It's just it wasn't like a live fight at the time. It was more of the UFC knockouts. Like we used to have on Spike TV back in the day. They used to have UFC Ultimate Knockouts.
Yeah,
And I think it was like Ultimate Knockout 7 or something like that. And they had Matt Hughes slamming Carlos Newton on his head, and I remember just being in shock, like being in awe for it. So pretty much after that fight, it was like it made me think differently of the sport.
Yeah, and did you grow up boxing or doing any other martial arts?
No, I actually my father was a boxer. I really didn't do any boxing, even though we planned on it, but things didn't pan out the way they were supposed to. But at the end of the day, I started my first martial art was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then I moved on to MMA.
And so a lot of fighters you see and other pro athletes, they use like sports psychologists to help them with their confidence levels and stuff. And you seem to carry yourself with a high level of confidence. Do you use this sports psychologist, or have you always just had this high confidence?
Yeah, man, honestly, I just this type of high confidence, and then also it's just kind of like there's a couple fights that made me look at that, like my last fight for the LFA title. So my last loss was actually the one that kind of like made everything click in my own head and be like, no, I can compete with these guys, because right after that fight with Miles Johns goes on to Contender Series. He goes to Contender Series, he wins, and then his next fight, he fights in the UFC and he wins that fight too. So I was like, oh shit, like, nah, this is a big possibility for me to be able to do that, but I feel like I can like build upon this. And it just showed me like how bad he was defeating those two guys. And then whenever he fought me, it was like a razor thin split decision, So that gave me a lot of confidence. But now it's just me, just like my confidence comes from the preparation. And that's every single time I walk into the fight, and it's just me knowing that I did that extra stuff. Did that extra whenever I was fighting. So it made it so much easier. It makes it so much easier for me to step in the cage, super confident because of the preparation.
And, you followed down the same path as Miles Johns. You went on to the Contender Series. You got an awesome knockout. And now in the UFC, you've been undefeated. Almost all your fights have been finished except for the David Grant fight, who's known as a very tough person. And you got close. So does that also help you carry confidence into your next few fights?
Oh yeah, no, it definitely lets everybody else know that I have the knockout power. I did rock Davy Grant, a couple times, but he's just the guy that's never gonna go out. You can literally knock him out, but he'll wake up like a second later and like be like, "Oh, I'm fine," and fight you like nothing ever happened. So, so nah, it gives me the confidence to be like, no, I know I can knock you out. You have to be on all your P's and Q's, like, because if you're not, then you're waking up to the lights, you're gonna be waking up to the doctor waking you up. So that also gives me another sense of confidence to be like, no, I know I can put you out with one shot. So so that's another sense of confidence, but also again, like it just comes from the preparation. And now that I'm getting like every single time I step in the octagon, I'm getting more experience. And that's also giving me a lot of confidence as well.
And obviously, you just fought, and your last fight was a very impressive performance. I believe it was your first UFC fight in front of a crowd, and you got to fight it in your home state. So how special was that for you?
That was very special to me because, man, everything kind of just sold itself, against like the guy who just named himself the villain. in Tony Kelly, and then fighting in front of my home state where I'm already going to be a big crowd. Like the crowd's going to love me either way. And then a guy who turned himself into the villain, does what he does, says what he says about Brazil. And then on top of that, going out to the crowd, flicking everybody off and just like calling everybody haters and stuff. And, all that kind of just played in my favor. And, walking out for that fight was like the best moment I have had as a professional fighter in my career, walking out, hearing the crowd in my home state, at the capital of my home state, walking out, and just everything was just kind of just falling into place. I walk in, get in the cage, and then whenever they start announcing my name and like me is out of the red corner, I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. And then after the fight, after the fight was finished, just hearing the crowd, like if for a moment it was so loud I couldn't hear anything, and that was amazing. Then walking backstage, people handing me beers left and right, so I thought that was pretty cool too.
Obviously, Tony Kelly, he's not very liked, but he's also been ranting a bit on Instagram about wanting a rematch and all these things. So, and obviously now his UFC tenure's up as well. So what's the deal? What do you think of him now, after having fought him?
Yeah, man, I still don't like the guy. That's one person I could probably tell you that I just really don't like him. And then also too, like everybody, not one person has said a good thing about Tony Kelly. Like people that I respect, like in the game, like you know what, I take that back. Only one person, and that was one of his old training partners back in the day. Plus they're both from Louisiana. But that was it. Everybody else has just been like, no. Like I even had some of his he hired coaches for Andrea Lee, and like they didn't work. Like it just though those coaches came up to me after the fight, like on an international fight week, and just said like, hey, like thank you. That guy's a dick, So everybody, a lot of people will say like, nah, he's kind of a dick, So it just kind of just made it like it solidified it for me that guy's not a good guy, because you have coaches, you have other fighters that he went to go train with, saying that he's kind of a dick, and then just overall, man, a lot of people have said like he's not a good guy. So yeah, no, still don't like that guy. And then on top of that, he's trying to go back and forth with me on Instagram and all that shit, trying to talk shit. So I'm gonna double down every single time he tries to, because I just want him to know that I don't like him.
Has he messaged you at all, or is it just Instagram comments? It seems from what I've seen, it's just Instagram comments.
Instagram comments. He did message me. He did message me at the very beginning. Like right after the fight, like he had messaged me saying something like, I know you truly don't believe I'm racist and this and that. And I remember, but like he literally said one thing, just being like, hey bro, like saying, I know I could have brought a better fight, and everything in that message that he sent was like, it was coming off as genuine, and like just being like, bro, like it's like it is what it is, and like he sounded like he was like he was trying to, like, I don't know, he was like not saying sorry, but he was kind of being like uh he was a little, I don't even know how to put it, like he was
Trying to
like,
bury the hatchet.
yeah, trying to, but like I hadn't even messaged or anything like that, so I didn't even know, because uh like he was like, I don't follow him or anything like that. So I never received the message. I had never received the message. Like I didn't see it in front of me. It was actually in a private message, where it was a message, but I had to go into like the ones where you have to accept it,
Yeah.
like on Instagram, like if you have so many followers or something like that, or I don't know how any of that works, but you have to go to the people, like if you don't follow them, like their messages don't go directly to you.
Exactly.
So like I had to like I was just, hey, I just went to look and just to see, because I was like, man, I feel like he messaged me. Looked and I was like, oh, he did. But it was funny because like he said what he said there, but then on Instagram comments he's talking shit, and I'm like, okay. All right, bro. Like you're one person, you're messaging me one thing, but you're on Instagram comments you're talking shit. So I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah. Now, on the note of Instagram, you've had two interesting posts, I believe, in the last 2 days. You posted something about fight news coming up, and then today you posted something about Madison Square Garden sounding good. We've had Frankie talk about wanting to fight at Madison Square Garden. So I want to ask you, is that the fight? Do you have the fight booked, or what's going on?
Oh, nothing's booked, but I've had a couple names be thrown at me. So I told, like, pretty much I have already told my manager that, like, because I remember just talking to him. I just remember he asked me if I wanted to fight in New York in Madison Square Garden. And I was like, yeah. But I asked him from the very beginning. I was like, hey, well, how's the taxes over there? Because I don't mind, I don't mind fighting in October either. So, but yeah, no. After talking to him, I do want to fight in Madison Square Garden, but also, uh, there's not, like, Frankie is definitely a possibility, but at the same time, he's not the forefront. He's not the guy. He's not the guy. I know it, and also I wouldn't mind if Frankie didn't want to take me as a last fight, because I don't want to be the guy that knocks out what's it called? I don't want to knock out Frankie in, like, his last fight in New York. I think that would be it. Like, if it wasn't New York and if that wasn't going to be his last fight, yeah, I'd be cool with it. But I would, as a fan, being a fan of him for so long, I wouldn't want to, do that.
Yeah.
There's no nice way to put it, but I wouldn't want to knock him out in front of his people in New York, man. I wouldn't want to do that at all. So, man, I feel like he needs to ride off into the sunset, fight another legend, maybe like Dominic Cruz. I think that would be a good fight, but I know Dominic Cruz has a fight coming up with Chito Vera. So, if it's in August and he comes out with no injuries or anything like that,
Yeah.
I feel like that would be like a shoe-in for Frankie. But yeah, it wouldn't be at the top of my list to fight Frankie, even though I know what a fight with Frankie does for me. Just as me being a big fan, like, for a very long time, I wouldn't want to be the guy that does that to him. So, because at the end of it, you're gonna be the guy that was Frankie's last fight, and you knock the guy out. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be like Larry Holmes. He's really famous for beating up Muhammad Ali. And, like, I don't want to be that guy at all. So
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So definitely in my, like, it's a possibility, but it's like not exactly what I would want. Not at the top of my list. Not at the top of my list. Only if they're gonna renegotiate my contract for something way bigger.
I've written down a few names here that are possible opponents for you. Where you're at in the rankings. I believe you're number 15. You might have been bumped out by Umar. I'm not sure.
Dude, yeah, no, so these rankings are weird. So, like, it's been in and out so much that I don't even know where I stand anymore, because they're trying to be like, is it like, right? I was bumped out the rankings from Umar. I just got in the rankings for a week, and then Umar bumps me out. But then next week they put me and Umar at number 15. And now I think after Ricky Simone fought Jack Shore got the 15th spot. But I think as of right now, I think me and Jack Shore are ranked for number 15 right now. And I'm just like, I don't even know how that happens. And Umar gets the bump up to number 14. I'm just like, I just don't get it. I just don't get these rankings. So I'm like, I feel like I shouldn't be tied at all, especially when you have some, like, again, I don't want to harp on Frankie Edgar, but, like, he's 1-2 at Bantamweight, and I think he's like 1-4 in his last 5. So
yeah,
I don't think he should be in the rankings, so as much as I'm a big fan of him, I just don't think he should be in the rankings. I should be number 14 right now.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bounce a few names off you. I want to talk some potential fights for you. So the first one I've written down, he's coming off of a tough loss, a tough main event in Rob Font. I don't know where he's at on his injury timeline, but could you see that fight happening soon?
Yeah, man, that's actually a fun fight. That would be a fun fight. That would absolutely be a fun fight. two stand-up guys going against each other. I think that'd be fun.
And, both of you guys have very high level boxing, and he has a very it's his trademark. He has a very good jab, and you have very good body work. So I think it would be a very similar matchup to how Jose Aldo and him matched up.
Yeah, I'd be watching that Jose Aldo fight very, very closely.
Yeah. Now this one coming off of a win over Jack Shore, Ricky Simone, was a very impressive performance. What do you think of a fight with him? Test your grappling a little bit.
Yeah, man. Ricky Simone is a fucking fantastic fighter. I like watching him fight. He's very, very good, man. That'd be a fun fight too. As much as I like the guy, it'd be a fun fight. I know the fans would absolutely love to see that fight because it's just a fun fight overall. He has knockout power and he has good wrestling, jiu-jitsu, so that'd be a fun fight as well.
And I know he's just been booked against Petr Yan, but Sean O'Malley, you guys have had your back and forth. So what do you think of a matchup with him? Maybe down the line, maybe for the belt or around that time?
Yeah, man, that would be absolutely fun. That would absolutely be fun for me, not for him, but yeah, no, the fans have been clamoring for that fight for a very long time, and now I feel like now is the time that we should start getting really serious about that, like that fight being happening, because at one point, he was trying to find a ranked guy, and then he I don't know, just this whole debacle was going on, and then there was a point in time where I wasn't fighting. Didn't have a fight booked. I didn't have a fight booked. He didn't have a fight booked. But I guess within the whole thing, he ended up fighting Pedro Munoz, which I get. Especially me at the time wasn't ranked, and then he's gonna fight someone like Pedro Munoz, higher ranked. A guy who's gonna shoot him up to fight somebody like Rob Font, and then to fight somebody like Petr Yan. Like he was gonna slowly build himself to a title shot. He wouldn't want to take a step back at the time and fight me. So, it is what it is. But, I fight any one of those guys that you mentioned before, puts me up there to fight someone like Sean O'Malley if he gets the win over Petr Yan. Because you never know. Petr Yan is the guy that probably makes you. Knocks you out, push you out for 6 months for sure. So yeah, that would be, and that would honestly be depending on where Sean O'Malley is, like, especially if I fight MSG and I fight somebody like a top name, knock them out, then I just got to fight forward,
Yeah. And obviously, you've worked with a former opponent of Petr Yan, you've worked with Aljamain Sterling, and you've worked with another top 10 bantamweight in Merab. So how much has that helped you develop your game to another level, training with the champion and Merab, who is also a very, very good bantamweight?
Man, that's actually, it was actually helpful for me, like, because they were able to push me in ways that a lot of guys here in Houston haven't been able to push me, but I do have training partners here in Houston that help me out a lot. Especially now that I have them on a more daily basis, like Raphaelas Sterling, the 135 interim champ for Bellator. I have him on a daily basis, so I'm able to work my wrestling with him. So I was able to see the deficiencies I had over there and training with Aljo and Rob, then coming back to be like, to have someone like with that high level to ask them about the certain spots and be like, oh, so it's been cool. Like they were able to like show me a couple of things I needed to work on, and I was able to come back home and work on them. So it's just confidence boosting, and it was just like very phenomenal to have like some like high level looks at them, and then to come back home to have a high level look in Raphaelas. So that was pretty cool.
Well, I'm going to ask you now about Raphaelas Sterling's next fight. He's fighting Danny Sabatello, I believe, in the final of the Bellator Grand Prix. So how do you like that matchup for him?
Oh, I love that matchup. Sabatello doesn't know how to strike. So he doesn't know how to punch. He kind of like walk like I don't know. I just think like that guy's stand up is not good.
Yeah.
It's there. He knows how to throw a punch, but not like technical or anything like that. It's not good.
Yeah.
His wrestling is good. His everything else is pretty spot on. But when you go against a guy with a high level wrestling like Raphaelas, who knows you're gonna shoot and knows that that you're just gonna go out there and just try to take him down the whole entire time, it's gonna be easy for him to defend. Like Juan Archuleta was a guy that like just kind of we thought he was gonna strike with him the whole entire time, and then next he shoots like holy shit, and that threw us for a loop, and we knew he was kind of scared, but yeah, no, it's super easy to game plan for someone like Danny Sabatella. I think it's a perfect matchup for Rothion, someone who has really good wrestling, and then also his hands are getting really fucking good. His striking is getting really fucking good. So I do see Danny getting stopped.
Yeah. And then Aljamain Sterling, he's just been booked against TJ Dillashaw in Abu Dhabi, I believe, is where the card is taking place. So how do you like that matchup for Aljamain?
I like it a lot. TJ Dillashaw, he gets frustrated against guys who move. Point in case, Corey Sandhagen, Dominic Cruz, everybody else who doesn't really move kind of had his way with him. It was a really close fight with him and Corey. And Corey did a lot of the damage, and I feel just off the damage, I feel like Corey Sandhagen won, but TJ Dillashaw, he gets frustrated with somebody who moves a lot. Aljo moves, and I really think that that Aljamain has the better grappling.
Yeah.
And if he gets TJ Dillashaw down, it's going to be a long night for TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah. And you kind of have developed like a big following on Twitter, right? And you have a lot of fan pages, and it's almost like a cult following at this point, right? Do you have a favorite MMA Twitter user? I've seen you interact with Ben the Bane Davis a lot, and others. Do you have a favorite?
Man, honestly, there's a lot of them that I like to interact with. Eamon, he's a good one. He's the guy that always telling me I fumble and all that stuff, but that's like more of an inner joke. He likes to get on my Discord and watch my Twitch streams, and like, yeah, he talks shit, but I love it though, because I know it's coming from a good place.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's one. Front Kick Andy is one, especially from he was one of those guys at the very beginning, kind of got all that stuff started for me, like the 7 Days Yanez, and also the kind of pushed that hype train with the Dr. Pepper and all that stuff, and the Reese's and all that stuff. Like with me and Randy, he was like one of the guys that was forefront about it and all that stuff. But a lot of people, my two favorite, I guess, hired like bigger names in the MMA Twitter space is Booger Beard and Ben Davis. I think those are fun guys. Also, my bookie's basement. Those guys are pretty cool. I love those guys. Met them in person in New York, because they're out of Serra-Longo, so that's pretty cool.
And so to close out, and then I have a little thing at the end, but this is what I like to call it quick fire. It's like a few short questions, little things, some to do with fighting, some not to do with fighting. So do you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Shoot. Honestly, I like a lot of movies, but if we're just talking about like fan service, like for me, like even I know it's like a lot of fan service stuff, but Avengers Endgame, just because like everything before was built up to that moment, just for Avengers Endgame, like I appreciated it, and I don't care how much fan service that movie was. To me, I just love that it was fan service anyways, because I was like, I waited so many movies just to see this one. I like it.
When you take a flight, are you a window seat guy, middle seat guy, or aisle seat guy?
Man, if I am cutting weight, I am definitely the aisle seat guy. Every time I've flown out and I had a fight coming up, like I am the aisle seat guy. Whenever I'm not, it doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't matter to me. I'll take window. Honestly, if whatever seat is open at the time, I do prefer the aisle seat just because I don't have to ask anybody to move if I had to go to the restroom. But I don't like what I don't like is my not enough privacy as I would if I got a window seat.
Yeah.
I'd be able to turn my phone just a little bit, if I'm watching a movie or something like that. If I got the aisle seat, like I lose the privacy, but being able to get up and go to the restroom is nice.
When you go to the cinema, is there a trademark snack you like to get? Maybe just the traditional popcorn, or any candy or anything?
Man, I usually go with the traditional popcorn, but I do love to get the Twizzlers.
Twizzlers, yeah. You see, here in Europe, the cinemas are pretty underwhelming. You kind of have a choice of popcorn, and they have do you have like the nachos in the US?
Nachos, yes, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's the same for you, but the way they do it here is like a box with like tortilla chips and then just a bunch of different dips. So they have a cheese dip, a
So
salsa, and a guacamole.
yeah. So they do that here too. But there's some movie theaters that will like in the front, that's what they'll give you, but in the back, whenever you're actually inside, uh, like there's a if you're around where I stay at, Hollywood movies there in Pasadena, you just pretty much just go in. They only give you like the what you're talking about, but then in the back they have this other where you can get ice cream, get all this stuff,
Yeah.
pizza and all that, like the 16-inch pizza, but
Oh well.
you can get like nachos with chili and cheese on them and all that stuff. But usually don't do that because halfway through the movie my stomach feels bloated and I'm just like, oh man, like I shouldn't have ate that.
Yeah.
I get that, like I shouldn't have ate that. So I just usually stick with popcorn and the Twizzlers.
Do you have a favorite TV show? Netflix, Amazon Prime. What's your go-to show?
My go-to show, it sucks because there's only 3 seasons out, and I was like avidly watching them every Friday. Thursday, Friday was The Boys.
Yeah.
So that definitely was one of my favorite shows.
No, I binged that very quickly. I picked up on it when I got COVID a few weeks ago, and I finished it recently.
Yeah, it was such a good it's such a good show. It's such a good show. I can't wait for season 4.
Yeah. Do you know when that's coming out? I think they just started filming or are going to start filming.
They started filming, so it should actually be released this time next year.
This time next year. So that's a long way. I'm gonna have to rewatch the show then.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do the same exact thing, but I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna skip season 3, episode 1 though.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite song? Maybe it could be your walkout song, or do you have a favorite song beside your walkout song?
Man, shoot, there's a lot of songs that I love, man. Honestly, it's just in whatever's in my playlist at the time that I just feel like there's a couple songs that just be they just feel right on certain days, so not necessarily a favorite song, but just the mood of the day type of deal, so it just depends.
Are you a podcast guy by chance? Do you listen to a lot of podcasts or anything?
I do I used to listen to a lot of podcasts back whenever I was working. Now it's a little bit different because like I used to have like a couple hours whenever I'd be working from like I get there at 8 and then like 12 o'clock would be my lunch. So like I had 4 straight hours to listen to whatever podcast I would want to listen to. So it'd be like 3 different podcasts in a day and I'd be able to listen to all of them. But now it's kind of different. So I'm not like, I don't have those extra hours and like, I only really get to listen to podcasts when I drive or stuff. Cause I feel weird just sitting at home and just listening to it. I listen to podcasts, Joe Rogan, Two Bears, One Cave, Fighter and the Kid, Joe Budden podcast, Flagrant podcast with Andrew Schultz and Akash Singh, The Brilliant Idiots. There's a couple more that I'm missing, but I listen to a lot. Oh, Time Suck. Dan Cummings, I believe. Yeah, that's a good one too.
And what was your job prior to fighting then that you had time to listen to podcasts then?
Pretty much, man. I was just I would be that guy that turned people's water off when they didn't pay their bill. I was that guy.
Yeah. Now, I just got a notification that the Zoom meeting time's running out. So I'm going to ask you if you want to plug any social medias. I can see on your cap you're wearing the Adrian Yanez merchandise. So you can plug that, your social medias, wherever you want to plug. Now it's your time.
Yeah. So I have my own website, yanezmma.com. We're able to buy shirts, hats, that's directly from me, by me. But also I did partner up with millions.co where you can go to Adrian Yanez, go to athletes, select Adrian Yanez. I do have shirts on there as well. You can ask for a personalized video from me, like almost like a cameo type of deal. I do have a cameo where y'all can request shout outs and all that stuff. But yeah, no, that's it. And then also follow me on Instagram, Adrian Yanez 93, Twitter, at Yanez MMA at Yanez MMA. But yeah, no, go to Minge.co, buy yourself a shirt. We do have a limited edition drop, and I feel like a lot of people have been asking for it. So man, keep your eyes out on that because
And when
I
is
think a
that
lot of
limited
young.
time drop?
It'll be soon. I'll post about it soon. But I feel like a lot of people are gonna like this shirt because a lot of people were asking for this type of shirt. So
Well, I'm in the US next month, so I'll keep an eye out. I might order
oh,
some.
hell yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Adrian. Means a
Hey
lot.
man, no problem, man. You have a good one, brother.
Have a good one.